How's it going, my truant people? Dr. Slacking, the Slacking Doctor, back with week... God knows what of LTC at this point. I think week 5 LTC or week 6 of LTC. We did miss our last week battle, if you're wondering where the upload was for LTC last week. Unfortunately, my man Socrates, who we were supposed to be playing, had to forfeit. I say unfortunately, we probably would have lost to him. He's a very good battler, and it did mean we got the win, so... I don't know how unfortunate that is. But yes, we did get the forfeit win last week, which means we had no upload, which is very sad. So that is unfortunate, I suppose. However, this week, some of you may know, some of you may not. Sorry, I'm adjusting my microphone. Very unprofessional. Let's focus. Some of you may know, some of you may not, that this week I've had some difficulties in my personal life. I'm not going into details, of course. But that means that, unfortunately, I wasn't able to prep for this battle at all. In fact, I had to play it a day after the deadline was due, even. So shout out to my man Foss for the extension and the understanding. But we have to shout out my man Sean, aka the Blind Messiah, part of my now official front office, because if I haven't said it already, which I should have done by now, I have set up an official front office. It's no longer tentatively called that. It is officially called that, literally called that. And he basically, I said, can anybody build a team for me and just pass it to me this week? I hate doing that. I never do that, but it's all I can do this week. And he came through and did that. And then I believe Checkmate Ben went over and tweaked 1 or 2 things. I also, unfortunately, gave Sean free reign on nicknames. So I'm not going to be discussing the nicknames in this video. We're not even going to go there. You guys will see them. I will not offer my opinions on anything. This is why you do not give Sean free reign on nicknames. God. But, moving on from that, the sets that we have, I'm going to briefly discuss them. I'm not really going to go over the opponent's team because I didn't really know anything. I just got past the team and got told, hey... Specs, Boom Burst, Swallow, 2-hit KOs, everything on his draft. That's all you need to know. And I was like, cool, okay. And Spadef, Hypno, Walls, everything on his draft. So I was like, okay, cool. That's all I needed to know. Apparently, so that's all I knew going into this battle. So we have Boom Burst, Hurricane, U-Turn, Roost. Roost I thought was really interesting. I don't know what we would roost up on, but, you know, I guess there just wasn't any hidden power coverage that we needed, so that was fine. Hurricane, obviously just going for Powerful Stab, but basically we were just clicking Boom Burst or U-Turn the whole game. And we have the Blastoise with Scald, Haze, Toxic, Protect. Physically defensive here. Just a physical tank, I guess, with something to stop setup with Haze. Toxic to wear things down. Protect to get extra leftovers, recovery, and potentially Toxic Stall. And Scald to get burns and Stab, I guess. Hypno here with Protect, Foul Play, Toxic Wish. Again, Wish to kind of heal up things like our Blastoise. Foul Play again to wear down certain threats and maybe setup mons. Toxic to get some status around and Protect again for extra leftovers recovery, and of course to get those wishes. Spadef because apparently the vast majority of his draft was specially defensive, or certainly the threats were, so we wanted to switch into those. Oh, I forgot to say, I do apologise. This week we're taking on my man Gareth, and I'm sorry Gareth that I forgot to say this earlier. Gareth's team name is, see this is how out of the loop I am, I don't even know his team name. I do know his team name, what is it? The Braehead Khan. The Braehead Khan is his team name. He is the man that sniped me left, right, and centre during the drafting process. I knew Mudstale would come to this match, and unfortunately, we don't have Mudbray because Sean didn't build with Mudbray. But I would have liked to have brought it, but maybe we can see him again in playoffs if I'm lucky, or in season 2 or something, and we can get him then. I don't know. But yeah, so we have Protect, Foul Play, Toxic Wish. Then we have the Cryogonal with Freeze Dry, Defog, Recover, Knockoff. Knockoff just because it actually is really useful against his team. Things like the Misdreavus, things like the Delphox, all these other things. Recover, obviously for longevity, Defog for removing a Freeze Dry for Stab, but to also hit Water types. I don't know what Water types it had, but it was there. The speed on this I know was to outspeed Timid Delphox by 1 point. Then we have the Sceptile with Crunch, Earthquake, Leaf Blade, Swords Dance. This is just a setup Sceptile with the Groundium Z, because Earthquake with Groundium Z, I can't remember what the Z ground move is called. It's not Continental Crush, that's Rock. Well, it doesn't really matter. Whatever it's called. Z Earthquake, Okos, the something that he had on his draft, Drapion. The Drapion that he had on his draft, even without getting a Swords Dance up. So that was just nice. Again, this outspeeds 339, the same as this. Outspeeds the Delphox, which I'm guessing is his fastest mon. Then last up, we have our Ground Ball, which is a weakness policy set with 4 attacks: Earthquake, Play Rough, Crunch, Ice Punch, Intimidate ability. Could be pretty useful with just pretty much max HP, max attack, pretty standard set. This is kind of how we used to run Donphan quite a lot, so I was pretty comfortable with the set, other than the weakness policy was a bit spicy for me. But hey, I'm always down for something like that. So, that's the team we had. I'm sorry I can't offer you any more insight. That's just what I was passed and what I know. Yeah, so moving on, let's just jump into the battle. So here we are in the battle, guys, and you can see he has a Crystal, Mesprit, Misdreavus, Mudsdale, I didn't even want to say that thing's name, Delphox, and Dragonair. Literally like 5 of these 5 I considered when I was drafting. Crystal I didn't really, but the other 5 I kind of thought about at one time or another. Anyway, he just sniped my whole draft, I swear. But looking at the matchup, I didn't really know what was a good lead for me here. So I believe I led Hypno because it could take on pretty much anything. Or maybe no, Blastoise. I think I led Blastoise in case he led Crystal because potential Stealth Rock lead. Not entirely sure about that. Let's just get into it. This battle was half an hour ago and I've already forgotten. Let's get into it. This is going to be such a shit show. Yeah, I led Blastoise, as I say, expecting the potential Crystal. So we just swapped Toxics here. Pretty straightforward. I just wanted to get some stats on this thing, wear this thing down. It didn't really scare me too much. Misdreavus can be really bulky and a problem with the Toxic on it. That was quite nice. He actually goes into Dragonair here, and I don't want Toxic this thing. I don't actually have Toxic on my Craganaut anyway. So the reason I didn't really want to Toxic it straight away is because it would activate his Marvel Scale, the ability that Milotic gets, which basically doubles his defense, I believe, when he has any status ailment. So I didn't really want to Toxic it straight off. I could have just gone for the Freeze Dry here, but I figured that he would go into Delphox, expecting some kind of Ice Stab, and my best thing was just fire off a knockoff and get rid of potential Trick Scarf Delphox. And indeed, he does go into Delphox. We click knockoff, and we find here that this is actually a Z-move Delphox, which is pretty scary. So we just go straight out into Hypno, knowing I can easily eat any hit from this thing with our Spadef set. Flamethrower, as you can see, does 28%, and he gets the 10% burn. This will come back later in the video and become relevant. He then switches out, as I believe we just fire off a Wish, because we may as well stay safe, you know. So we fire off a Wish. He goes in Crystal, and I realize this is Shell Smash. This is 100% Shell Smash, so I'm going to go into Blastoise. He can only do about 50% to me, and then I can haze him. So indeed, he gets a Shell Smash off, and a Wish comes through. This turn, as I say, he's going to do 50% to me, and I'm hazing him. He clicks Rock Slide, and flinches me. And he did say that was his only way of 2-hit KOing me. That's why he did it. So the toxic damage would then stack up, and he could click X Scissor the next turn and take me out. Meaning that we didn't get our haze off, and suddenly we have a Crystal in front of us that Shell Smashed up. So I go into Gramble for the Intimidate. I know that he will be running calcs at this point and realize that he can't beat me 1v1 very easily at -1 defense. Play Rough is going to do a hell of a lot to him. And he can't one-shot me now. He's only at -1 attack. But I did notice he wasn't White Herb, so I think, well, he doesn't necessarily have to stay in, because he could just Shell Smash again later with this thing, with it being a Sturdy Mon, his Sturdy not being broken, me not having rocks on the team to break it, and him not running White Herb. It's not essential. It's not, you know, White Herb, you feel like you have one chance once your stats are restored. But with this, that's not the case. So I expect him to switch out. So I believe I just fire off a Play Rough rather than Earthquake, because I don't want him to go into either Mesprit or Misdreavus. Kind of wish I'd gone for the Crunch, but that Play Rough seemed the safe middle ground play because it still hit Crystal very hard. And I can go into Swallow on this thing, not caring what it does. It can't do anything to me. Swallow doesn't need to be particularly healthy. And I know that I can just kill him with a Boom Burst here, no matter what. And we do that. He has no switch-ins because, as Sean told me, everything on his draft does die to 2 Boom Bursts. He goes into Mesprit pretty quickly here, which made me nervous. And I come in and the Forewarn tells me that he has an Ice Beam as he clicks a Psychic. So he obviously is decently offensive, but he only does 18% with a crit. So I'm like, maybe he's bulky. I don't know. I don't know how bulky Hypno is. It only takes 18, but I think he's fairly offensive. And we expect him to switch out into Crystal, so I click Toxic so that Crystal can't just set up and sweep as easily. He does go for the Shell Smash, and this time, because I fire the Toxic off, I go for the Foul Play, because I think to myself, right, he's seen me Toxic, he's going to Shell Smash expecting me to switch. This is my chance to get some really big damage on him, and kind of for free here, because there's no way he's going to see this coming, and we outslow him, which is incredible. So we Foul Play, we actually activate his Weak Armor, but now his defense is at -2, which is really, really, really nice. I think it's at -2. And we can just click Protect and actually let the Toxic damage rack up as he realizes he has to kill me, because I can just Foul Play in and take him out if he goes for another Shell Smash. And at this point, we're just trying to play around these Toxic turns to make sure this thing goes down. So we go out into Gramble again, get another Intimidate, knowing that he can't do much more than about 50%, I think, to me. He goes for the Knockoff again, gets rid of our Weakness Policy, which I didn't feel like I was ever going to get activated anyway. So no harm done. He only does 24% to me, which is like nothing. So that Crystal was a major threat that I felt we played around really, really well there. He goes into Delphox, and because I don't know what his Z move is, I just don't feel I have a switch in, and I have to let Gramble go down. Hypno can now come into this thing and wish up on it potentially later, but I know that Swallow can drop him from here. He goes for the Protector Scout if I'm going to U-turn or whatever, which is a smart play. But we do just click Boom Burst because there's no reason not to, and of course we drop this thing. He doesn't have a switch into Boom Burst, he has to let it drop, which is nice. He can go out into the Mesprit, and here I don't want to take damage from this thing. I need to get some chip on it before I can take it out with a Boom Burst. We've seen especially offensive, so we go into Cryogonal. He does get a crit with the U-turn, not that it hugely mattered, but it was a bit annoying. I'll kind of get onto why in a minute, I guess. So we fire off the Freeze Dry, and we do 46% to this Mudbray, to this Mudsdale. He gets his rocks up, and I'm not really too concerned here. I know a Rock Slide is probably going to take me out, but he's not necessarily running it. He might just have Earthquake or whatever. So we go for another Freeze Dry, see what he wants to do, and he fires off a Toxic. That's kind of fine. That's kind of alright. Because I know that he's going to drop next turn to another Freeze Dry. So this thing didn't really do anything. So we just fire off a Freeze Dry here. Get him out. And, excuse me, Toxic damage is racking up, but it's not doing too much. He goes into Mesprit here. And he clicks the Psychic, which does, like, nothing. So we just click Defog, because I'm like, hey, let's get rid of Hazard so that Swallow can come in more easily a couple more times, and just click Boom Burst if need be. And then he finishes off with another Psychic, which does 28%. And the reason that I kind of said that the crit kind of mattered a little bit is because that Psychic doesn't kill. That Psychic does 28%, was a higher roll than his first Psychic, which was 27%. So if he hadn't crit on the U-turn, we would have lived one more, and we could have either got a Freeze Dry on him or a Knockoff on him, which would have been really, really crucial. I believe I clicked Knockoff that turn. And what that might have done, depending on his spread and depending on his item, might have actually put him in range of Swallow's Boom Burst, which is what I really wanted to do, or it might have made it able for Sceptile to come in and set up a little bit more easily. However, I decided to go into Hypno because I'm like, well, I can wish up on this thing, and Dragonair doesn't really scare me. I expect it to be a setup Dragonair from the way it's been played. And indeed, he goes into Dragonair here. He brought it in earlier in the game, so I figured it was a setup thing, so he was trying to get it in early and set up early. So as he goes for the Dragon Dance, I just go for the Toxic here because I'm like, okay, well, I can stall this thing out. I can stall this thing out. Yes, I'm going to boost his Spadef, but as soon as he kills me, I just don't think he's going to kill me. I think I can just Toxic stall him. I can go for some foul plays, and I know his defense is boosted, but now it's going to be neutral. And it actually does 9% that foul play. If you think he's at +2 attack and +2 defense, it only does 9%. That is literally 0. So that's a little bit worrying. But we expect him to kind of get greedy, so we just go for another foul play here. And the Toxic damage is really starting to rack up on him now. And I'm like, this is fine. He's about to go down to Toxic. We have literally nothing to worry about. So we go for the Protect here. And he actually clicks Rest, which is huge. That is a major, major problem. Because now this thing is so physically bulky because its Marvel Scale is still activated by its Sleep. And it's at +3/+3. Very scary. So we go straight hard into Swallow, and he does reveal to be a Talk set, a Sleep Talk set, which is so scary. But we can fire off a Boom Burst this turn, as he just gets Rest on Sleep Talk, thank God. We get a Boom Burst off, and we do massive damage, massive damage. But he wakes up this turn, so I have to double out into Sceptile. Sceptile's my least valuable mod at this point. And I see that Sceptile actually lives one return. Now, Sceptile couldn't have touched this thing because it's physically bulky, so Sceptile dropping was not a problem. But now I can go into Hypno. And this is really crucial here. Because I go into Hypno, I think, okay, I can foul play this thing, and he no longer has his Marvel Scale activated. This thing will then drop, and I can potentially just wish up on Mesprit. Or I can go into Swallow, and we can maybe live one, or better yet, we can probably fire off a Hurricane, and if we get a Confusion, we get a little bit of luck in our favour. We can still win this game. We're not in a bad position. We're not in a good position. He's definitely looking odds on to win, but there's stuff we can do. So, indeed, this turn he does go for the return to try and finish us off, and we can see we eat that. And we click Foul Play. We do 19%, literally nothing. And I was so stunned here because I'd run the calcs and that should have been doing 50%. And I was so confused. I was like, why the hell did that do 19%? Of course, we go out into Swallow here and he outspeeds so that we can't do anything about this. We just drop to the return and lose the game 2-0. The reason that the foul play a couple of turns ago did so little, if I could just play again, the reason that this turn, the reason that it does so little is because, as you can see on our Hypno, we are actually burnt. And I didn't realize this, But whilst foul play uses your opponent's attack stat to calculate the damage, it uses your status. So if you are burned, it takes their attack stat and then it halves it. It's a really, really weird mechanic. I personally don't feel it makes any sense, but that's how foul play works. It is what it is. So GG to my man Gareth, first and foremost. His Dragon Dance Rest, Sleep Talk, Return, Dragonair worked perfectly. I did not expect it to have Rest on it. That's why I Toxiced it gladly, because I was like, this thing's not going to do anything. I can just Toxic it. It's not going to rest up. I can stall it out with Protect and we'll be golden. So shout out to him for a fire set. However, from my perspective, I feel like I played decently considering my lack of prep, considering everything else. And, you know, the 10% burn lost us this game here. The flinch on the Blastoise was a huge problem because that was my Hazemon that I could have then wished back up later in the game, potentially quite easily, I think. And I think there was one other bit. The crit on the Cryogonal also meant that we couldn't get the chip on the Mesprit that would have let me go into Swellow for Swellow to kind of clean up the rest of this game. So it's one of these things where, you know, I'm not trying to take anything away from my man Gareth. He plays superbly well. But from my perspective, I don't feel like I could have done a whole lot better. I should have done 1 or 2 bits better. But I'm pretty happy with my performance. I think it was okay. I think I just got unlucky. And that happens. That's Pokemon, you know. That's life. So yeah. So take what you will from that. I feel good. I feel like moving on, we are now 3-3, I think, or maybe 3-4. Let me think. No, we're 2-3, I think. I think we've won 2, lost 3. So we don't have a great record. Next week, we're up against my man Dreadful Dragonite. Really, really good guy. A guy I know really well in this community. One of my best friends in this community. And I can't wait to battle him. We haven't battled since ABC Season 1, where I believe I won. So this is his chance to go level, and it's going to be a super exciting battle. And obviously, this is an opportunity for me to kind of get back into playoff contention. I need to win that game. If I lose to him, that's pretty much our season over here in the LTC. So I need to get a win next week. All that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. I feel like moving forward, we can keep playing well, and hopefully we can grab another win next week. Thank you so much for loafing around with me, and I'll catch you again next time.